Welcome to this series of videos in which we take a close look at all 9 tiles and all 27 elements of the instruction manual. This video is Tile 2, Element 2, Patterns. Patterns are, if you like, patterns are external manifestations of habits. Don't take that too strictly, but in order to distinguish between habits and patterns, let's go with that. Now, if you're not sure about your own patterns, you can look at other people. Look at how they behave. Look at the patterns that they display. And we'll talk more about what you can do with patterns in Tile 3 certainly when we look at procedures. That brings me to an important point that I stressed in the previous videos as well, that this is really all about seeing. So it doesn't matter whether you call something a pattern or a habit or label it conditioning. What's important is that you see it. You don't even have to go looking necessarily in specific areas, looking for habits or patterns. Just look and see what you see and write it down. But for this video, I'm going to talk to you about a pattern of mine. It's not so strong now because I've done some work on it, but it was certainly a lot stronger when I was younger, and that's creating dramas. As we talked about in the previous videos, patterns begin very early on in life. There's a lot that happens to us in our early years, which we repeat over and over again as we get older. And those elements of our behavior become the habits, become the patterns. Now, one of the ones that I had, and you can trace it back to an operation I had when I was younger, when I was 1 year old. It was because of breathing difficulties, which meant that after the operation, whenever I coughed, my parents would come running, concerned, and would give me whatever I needed, even ice cream. So as a 1 year old, you're concluding that if you cough, you get ice cream. If you create a drama, people come running. That's an easy conclusion to make. And if it goes unchecked, then that reaches far into adulthood. And that's what happened to me. The stuff that I'm talking about here, and I'm going to give you another example from when I was 12, but in fact, let's go straight to that. I came home from school, my first day at big school, with maths homework that I'd misheard, which meant that what I was looking at was a problem that was far too complicated for a 12-year-old. And I panicked. I created a drama. And in fact, the local maths professor was called in from across the road to say, listen, can you help him with his homework? And even the professor said, this homework is too difficult for a 12-year-old child. At that point, you'd expect one of the adults to take me to one side and calm me down. Maybe they did. I certainly don't remember. And it certainly didn't have a huge impact on this pattern of behavior, because when I met Courage, it was him. And I was my early 30s when I met him. And it was he who actually sat me down and said, there are different ways of being. You don't have to behave like this. You don't have to create dramas. You can do something about it. And I stress again, that's what this tile is all about, seeing clearly. That's all you have to do. You don't have to have any explanations about why you are the way you are. I mean, if you want to know, just look back in your history. Look at the people who were around you in the early years. And we'll come to it more when we talk about conditioning. But you need to understand also that you made decisions, again, based on your environment, based on your understanding of the world, which, let's be honest, when it's pre-language, your understanding of the world is limited. You have no real discernment. Because if you made decisions now about how you wanted to live your life, they'd be very different to the ones you made when you were 1, 2, 3, 4 years old. But trust me, you were making decisions. So it's not just about your environment, it's also about how you respond and how you react to your environment, the decisions that you make. And those very early decisions create patterns in life which show themselves over and over again. And as soon as you look, as soon as you see, things start to shift. Things start to become more malleable, and you can do something about it. But without the seeing, nothing's going to change. So to summarize, we can say that patterns are external manifestations of habits. It doesn't really make any difference, because the important point in all of this is to observe, to see things clearly, and to write things down. So if you've enjoyed this video, please check out the other videos on Tile 2 and also the videos for Tile 1. And I'll see you next time.